Hi, it's Mining44 here, and today I invite you to the review of the Perun Hybrid version 2 MOSFET unit. Thanks to the Perun for making the unit available for testing and for all the swag. There was a Gate Aster, there was a Jeftron Leviathan, and now it's time for Perun Hybrid version 2. And version 2 in the name, it does not mean that's the second version of the unit, but the fact that it's dedicated to the version 2 gearboxes. The unit presented today, as well as all other mentioned earlier, replaces the trigger contacts and the cutoff lever, thanks to which we eliminate frequent problems resulting from the wear of these elements. The unit also gives us a whole range of additional programming options, like fire modes, bit setting of series of shots, adding pre-cocking, that is initial spring tension after which the next shot will be fired faster, as well as, for example, the sensitivity of detecting the movement of the trigger, thanks to the use of the magnet on the trigger and the Hall effect. I'm no physicist, so I won't get into it. It's important for me that it works very well. In today's material I will show you what the unit looks like, how it's mounted in my Specna Arms SA-H12 replica, what functions it has, and I will say a few words what I think about it. But as always, let's start with a little unboxing. In a small cardboard box we'll find a card with QR code for the user manual and stickers in form of a programming cheat sheet and stickers with the Perun logo. The Perun Hybrid version 2 unit itself with wiring ending with a TTS plug, a magnet to be mounted on the trigger, and a Airsoft space card with a programming cheat sheet. When it comes to installation of the unit itself, it's not particularly difficult, and anyone who can disassemble and assemble the gearbox, I think, shouldn't have any problems. But if you have any doubts, it's better to leave it to someone with more experience. Today I will show you how I install the unit in my Specna Arms SA-H12 1 series replica, but do not take it as an instruction manual. Perun has already prepared one and it's available on the YouTube channel, to which I will drop a link in the video description. As I mentioned, the unit replaces the standard trigger contacts and the cutoff lever, so I have to remove both elements. I only need a screw from the lever, which I will use to secure the unit in the gearbox. I will also work on the selector plate, so I have to remove it, and I will also remove the trigger safety lever. Before assembling the unit, I thoroughly clean the gearbox shell with isopropyl alcohol. The same I do with the selector plate, to which I will stick the sticker. The set includes 3 stickers for normal selector plates and 2 dedicated to ICS replicas. The sticker on the selector is used by the sensors to detect the selector position. I stick the sticker to the left edge, it sticks very well to the steel plate and does not need additional gluing. With the sticker, the selector plate moves without resistance, so I think it should not come off. It's time to take a look at the unit itself. It works on the basis of optical and magnetic sensors, hence the name Hybrid. The optical sensor detects the movement of the sector gear in this line, thanks to which the unit can count teeth and is able to work with every gear, regardless of whether the standard number of teeth with short stroke or DSG. The only exceptions are the gears with the gear ratio of 32:1. This element, together with the magnet mounted on the trigger, is responsible for detecting its movement, but more on that later. On this side of the unit you will also find a soldering point marked as positive and negative, which can be used, for example, to power an electric magazine or chamber that eliminates the tracer BBs. On the other side of the unit there are 2 sensors responsible for detecting the position of the selector plate. The wiring itself, ending with a TDS plug, is very soft and it fits very well in the gearbox. In the shell of a Specna Arms SA-H12 replica from the 1 series, the installation of the unit itself was very simple and I did not have to modify anything in the shell. It came down to screwing the unit with a screw from the cutoff lever and arranging the wires. Then I had to mount the element from the set on the trigger. As you can see, it has a magnet, thanks to which the unit will be able to recognize the position of the trigger. After unscrewing 2 screws, I just had to put it on the trigger I wanted to use, and if it sits loosely, you can use the top screw to secure it against moving on the trigger. Originally in the plan I was going to use a flat cable trigger. Unfortunately it did not work and I had to stick with the standard Specna Arms trigger. After installing the trigger in the shell, it must rest against this element in the shell, otherwise the unit may not work properly. Unfortunately, the cowboy trigger passes the element, so I decided to use a standard trigger. It is also important that the trigger does not sway from side to side. To ensure this, I had to shim it with a washer used for gears. It's hard to show, but the trigger after closing the shell rests exactly where it should. Due to the element on the trigger, its path has shortened and it's clearly more inclined in the resting position, which in some shells may mean that the mechanical safety lever will be too long and will require either shortening, as I did, complete removal. Despite the lack of a physical safety, after setting the replica to the safe, unit will not allow you to shoot, so it's not needed. Then I installed the sector gear. In my case it's a Big Dragon 13-1 with a free teeth short stroke. I installed the shell in the body and I will be able to do the test of the unit without the motor. I connect the battery and the colored diode in the shell will inform me if everything is working as it should. First I test the selector. After switching it to a given setting, you can see a change in the color of the diode. Blue color, semi. Red, auto. White, safe. Then I check the trigger operation. Purple color means that the trigger movement has been detected. The last one is the detection of the movement of the sector gear. When I rotate it, you can see that the LED is green, which means that the movement has been detected. Due to the fact that the unit passed all tests, I could assemble the replica to the end and I can start programming. I'll show you quickly what options we can program. To enter the programming mode, I choose the firing mode that I want work on and move the selector back and forth twice, which the unit confirms with an appropriate sound. The mode that we are working on is signaled with the appropriate color of the diode visible when we look through the trigger hole. The first setting is the fire mode marked in green. Here we can program how the replica should behave at a given selector setting. We have a choice of safe, single fire, series of shots between 2 and 5, or full auto. For the test I programmed a 3-shot burst in the place of automatic fire. The next setting under the blue color is active braking. It prevents overspin, that is when the gears are still spinning after taking a shot, which may result in unwanted shots on semi, and by default it's set at level 3. In most cases this setting should be enough, but if necessary we have available up to 5 levels of active braking. The third setting under the yellow color is precocking, that is, I mentioned it earlier, the spring pre-compressing before the shot, which shortens the time need to fire another shot. There are 8 levels, but you have to be careful because too high level can result in double shots. In order to release the spring after shooting, hold down the trigger, the unit will audibly signal the firing shot will take place and then the replica will fire once, with a maximum active brake, setting the piston to the resting position. The fourth setting under the violet-blue color is the binary trigger that is hated by some. After activating this function, the replica will fire each time we press and release the trigger, which gives us the possibility of a very high rate of fire on semi. The fifth setting under the violet-green color is two-stage trigger. The trigger movement is divided into 2 parts and each has its own mode. On this setting we have 3 options to choose from. The first is semi and burst. In first phase of pressing the trigger, a single shot is fired, and when I press the trigger to the end, a 3-shot burst will be fired, unless we have a different mode set. The second option is semi and auto. Similarly, the first stage fires a single shot, and after pressing the trigger to the end, the replica fires in automatic fire. The third option is burst and auto. In third phase, a 3-shot burst is fired, or another that we set, and then automatic fire. The sixth setting under the violet-yellow color is the trigger sensitivity. We can choose from 5 levels, of which at the highest it's possible to shoot after the first millimeter of trigger travel, and at the lowest even about 6 millimeters. There are of course estimated distances and may differ in your case. The seventh setting under the white color is a rate of fire reduction in automatic mode. We have 5 levels to choose from, which gives us ability to slow down the fire rate up to 30%. A very useful option if we made a replica for very fast cycles mainly for semi, but we do not need a high rate of fire in automatic mode. The 8th setting under the purple color is DMR mode. This mode allows us to set the delay between shots on semi by 2500ths of a second, half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Thanks to this, it will not be possible to spam on semi, but we will keep an immediate reduction to the trigger pull. The 9 settings under the blue color is a LiPo alarm. The function is by default activated and will inform us when the battery is discharged below 3.7 volts per cell. I recommend you leave it on unless you use batteries other than LiPo or Lion. The 10 settings under the green and blue color is the DSG mode. The mode is activated when the dual sector gear is mounted. It ensures proper operation of the unit with such a gear. The last function under the red color is a factory reset. If we have a problem with the unit or we have mixed something in the options, this function can be used to restore it to the factory settings. To do this, we can press the trigger for 2 seconds in this mode or wait 10 seconds. The unit also have a simple diagnostics, thanks to which it is able to inform us about the problems with the appropriate colors of the diode. The unit of course has protection against accidental shots if there is a different magnetic field in the vicinity of a magnetic sensor rather than from the trigger. As you can see in the presented example, when I put a motor with a strong neodymium magnet on the body, the replica will not fire and the red-violet LED will inform us about the detection of an external source of magnetic field. The last thing I would like to mention is energy consumption. Each MOSFET consumes energy even when we are not shooting. Hybrid, after setting the selector to save, according to Perun, only takes 1.5 mAh. My meter shows about 0.8 mAh, so even a bit less. In semi mode the unit consumes about 4.4 mAh, and in the auto mode it's about 2.14 mAh. It's not much, but it should be remembered that as with any other MOSFET, you should not leave the battery connected for a very long period of time, otherwise it may be depleted below a dangerous levels. So much for programming the replica. If we would like to do it during the game, but we do not remember which mode is what option, we can help ourselves with a sticker that can be attached to the replica so that we always have it with you. Wrapping up, the Perun Hybrid VT unit is quite simple to install and gives us a lot of possibilities. I didn't have any problems with it myself, only the Kublai trigger didn't want to cooperate, the wiring is nice and ends with a popular TDS plug. Programming with the help of the trigger and the selector may be a bit confusing at first, but the color markings of the modes, sounds of the unit and help in the form of the stickers and card make it so much easier that after a few programmings you can do it from memory. During programming it happened that a few times the replica did not want to fire, but it was due to the unscrewed selector that moved enough to enter the save mode and the fact that depending on the arrangement of the sticker, the mode detection point can be moved. After tightening the selector, the problem completely disappeared. So both programming and installation I would rate as rather easy and I can highly recommend this unit. Personally, I have various Perun units installed in several replicas, be it the ETU++ in the 556WH or the ultra simple micro MOSFET in the CM030, SIMA or AB++, which are installed in Borek's Specna Arms core. I had no problems with any of them and it's exactly the same with the hybrid. After correct mounting it does not cause any problems and all modes work as they should. In the era of computer or cell phone programmed units, for whom was the Perun Hybrid programmed old-fashioned way with the trigger and selector created for? Well, it will be an ideal unit for people who do not need a whole lot of telemetry data, which is collected by other units and for whom quick and easy operation is the most important. Yes, other units are easier to program from the phone, but none can be reprogrammed as quickly as the hybrid. The fire mode can be changed literally in few seconds without pulling the phone out, connecting it to the unit via Bluetooth or connecting additional accessories to simply have the connection. In hybrid, any experienced user will be able to change any settings in just few seconds, which can be useful for example when after changing the battery it turns out that the precocking is set to high and double shots are fired on semi. Hybrid has one more hidden function that no other competing circuit has. If you find it, it will play a tune for you. A very nice Easter egg: if the video reaches 1000 likes, I will show you how to turn it on. It will be all for today. Let me know what do you think about the Perun Hybrid unit, and if you use one, how does it work for you? And for now, thanks for watching and see you next time.